Okay, this is CSC 200 game programming, and today's topic is game engines. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. If you will check in your D2L page, I have added in some new links just this morning.
And again, there you go.
Not again.
Oh,
Ah,
Oh,
yeah, am I back?
oh,
Oh,
maybe.
it stuttered for a second.
Okay, what about now?
oh, maybe like the internet is heavy.
Your voice is here, but you're not quite here.
All right,
he's
then, God, I may have to do the same thing with y'all. Okay, the topic.
Oh, we got you. We can hear you and see you.
You can still, okay, we're good. All right. The topics that we're going to cover are in D2L, and I can't even see if that screen's, it's not shared anymore. Let me share this and show you where to look if this bombs out, okay? That's a good one right there. Sharing. Okay, good. There it is on the screen. Okay, the week 6 instructions are just the introduction, of course, okay? Then what is a game engine is a link to a video to watch. Game Engine Basics is a link to a web page that has a lot of good discussion and some videos in it. And then there's one on choosing the right game engine. That's what I'm going to show you. Then we have Scratch from MIT that I was going to do a little bit with you on, but my connection is making me very nervous. So here we go. Here's the quick view of this thing. There is no right game engine for everything, okay? So one of the things you can do if you're starting off, if you have an idea for a game, go look at other games that are similar to your idea, or at least have the look and feel of what you're after. Use the same game engine they did, okay? That's one real good way to start. The other is if you're real good with a particular game engine, like we teach Unity up here in the coding classes, well, then you will start forcing the games you're thinking about into a format that works for Unity. So one game engine only is kind of restrictive, but that's okay. If you have a style of game that you particularly enjoy, then that's the game engine that you want to kind of go with on this stuff. In general, there are, am I still here?
Yep.
Okay, I just heard my machine just made a noise. Quit doing that. Okay, anyway, shoot, that threw me off. Game engines, selection. Oh, there are beginner game engines that you can look at. Scratch is one of the most basic. I believe it's MIT also that brought out a next level, which is called Godot. I believe that's an MIT product. And then there's 2 or 3 others in this same realm. RPG Maker, which is a role-playing game maker. Okay, that's a little step up from what we're looking at in Scratch. Then the next level up is going to be Unity and Unreal Engine. Of the 2, Unity is going to be easier to learn and work with as an independent. Unity engine really needs a team of people working together on that sucker to make it really shine at what it does. So that's why we go with Unity. I am expecting a bunch of y'all to wind up independents, okay? Just trying your own indie games. Some of you will hit it, make a lot of money. Most of us, like me, I'm still here teaching. Let me guarantee you, if I ever hit it big, you won't find me here, okay? So anyway, it will happen to some of you, won't happen to most of you. It's kind of like when athletes are going through junior high and high school and college trying to get ready for pros. If you look at how many started back in junior high thinking they were going to make it to the pros versus how many actually make it to the pros, it's not good odds, okay? So just being straight right and you know, just trying to tell you the truth on this stuff. But it's fun. I mean, that's one reason I'm still in this stuff. It's just flat fun. This is what I do for a hobby as well as for a profession. Okay, so anyway, that's the level. So we're going to use Scratch from MIT, which is the basic level, which guarantees you there is no coding required. Okay, and I'll show you their screen in just a second. And you are to come up with a children's game appropriate for Scratch. Okay, so that means you're going to have to lower it. Now, once again, I strongly suggest you look around in this class, also the evening class, if you know anybody there, not evening, they're online. Start making teams. Okay, this gets a lot easier if you have 2 or 3 people working on it instead of just one. Okay, up to you. If you want to continue to work on your own and have control of all of it, that's fine, but you will be doing a lot of work on this. All right, so that's the setup. That's why I'm using Scratch. And let me change this to Scratch right now. And Scratch advertised still is no coding required. This is hard to see, but right there, the very first tab they have is code. Okay. You're coding. No 2 ways about it. You're coding. You just don't have to write the code. This helps you with syntax errors is all this does. Okay. You're going to still need the same principles, looping, arrays, all that kind of stuff is still used, but it sure is a nice, gentle way to introduce you to it if you've never seen it before. Okay. All right. And when you go, this, by the way, is the link that you should have, which is scratch.mit.edu. This is Massachusetts Institute of Technology, that MIT. Okay. And their students developed this and they've just kind of kept it going and it keeps on growing. Okay. So this is the tools you'll be working with. Several main areas here. On this side, code. And you will get used to having to hunt through the various colors to find what it is. Like you can make your character say hello, or if you replace the hello with whatever phrase you want them to say, okay? An ability to make them think. Costuming is coming up. Anyway, so there's also sounds that you can play. There's events that occur. There's control. And this has the looping and if statements and all that kind of stuff in it. Sensing, touching the mouse pointer, touching a particular color. Okay, there's all kinds of things that can be used in here. And this is where you can do math with them. You can generate random numbers. You can do ands, ors, and nots. And you can take one of these ors and put it into this blank area for the not. Okay, so you can combine these things. Nice thing about this is the way they are shaped, these will only fit into a similar shaped hole. It's like putting puzzle pieces together.
I can
Variables.
see why some people who know coding would be infuriated by this.
Oh yeah. But let me tell you, every one of these that I have looked at that says no coding, that's not true. Okay. There is coding. It's going to be in all of this stuff. If there's not, then you are very, very limited in the kind of games you can make and what you can have your games do. So that's on this side. And they have tried to help by color coding stuff. Okay. And if you want to, though, you don't have to go by that. You can just, slide up and down and go through it. But those are all of your coding commands that are there. Okay, costumes. This is where, let me get this out of the way that's down here. This is some training, some tutorials. And if you have not worked with this, even if you've been doing games for a long time and you haven't worked with this, I'd go through the tutorials to get a feel for it. Okay. If you've never coded, definitely go through the tutorials. Okay. Get comfortable with this software package. Then when you don't need them, you can just close them. Until you tell them otherwise, they'll just show up every time you go to scratch.mit.edu. And you can change the way things look in this. You can change colors. You can get to individual pieces, whatever they do have set up that you can get to. So this is where you make things look differently. And there's costume 1, which is what's showing over here. And here is costume 2. And you can add costumes and costumes and costumes, which changes the look of it. Okay. Use this in one of the little games I made with this where a car can crash and the car looks fine while it's going around the track, but then it hits something and crashes and it changes its costume to all beat up. Okay. So all kinds of things you can do with that. And then there is a sounds tab up here as well. And that's just the meow. These are just the things that come with it. You can add in your own characters and everything else. One of the games I made, I just wanted to see if I could gross out everybody, was a roach, and it's running around your house, and you're trying to get to the roach and stop it. And when you do, all the baby roaches come out and infect everything. And then when you go kill them, here come spiders after you. So, but you can, whatever you want to do with this. Now, to really emphasize that this may be designed for kids, but it doesn't have to be done that way. Let me click another screen up here. I guess I'll better refresh this one. I think I played it out. Y'all have already seen me play games. I don't last long. It's coming. Okay, now here's one of the events that was in the code. It's this little green flag. When you click it, it starts. Let's see. Let me, just a second. Just wait, I'll come. Oh, it didn't stop. I want you to stop. It doesn't have a nice stop. Okay. Can y'all hear the sound? That's what I'm going after.
Mm-hmm.
No, not really.
It looks like there's a stop button up right above the D.
Thank you. Got it. Saw it. Thank you. All somebody has to do is say, hey, there it is. And you'll see. Okay. What I want to do is share sound with this thing as well. Okay. I want to share the computer sound. Okay. Now then, let me come back in and I will reload this once more. And so y'all can hear it from the start. Y'all do remember the game called Doom, right?
This one looks like it's based on the reboot from 2016 rather than OG Doom.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try again. So it's got that nice sound effect. That's me getting shot, but I can't figure out how to get out of the way. Keep going out of the screen. I'm bound to hit something. Okay, anyway. So, yeah, you can do more than just kids' games with it. Okay.
It
Yes.
sounds like that soundtrack was just straight up imported from Mick Gordon's work for the new Doom games.
Yeah, something to be careful of. It's called lawsuits. Okay, so all the stuff I work with, I do Creative Commons, unless I have paid somebody to do work for me, which I've done in the past because I just couldn't find exactly what I wanted. And so hire somebody to do it for me. But mostly I use Creative Commons stuff on everything. Okay, so the one I was looking for and didn't find, somebody brought the original game Doom to scratch. Okay, so even that game, you can you can create the stuff with this little small piece of software here. Okay, so this is where you'll be doing your sounds and everything that goes with that. Let's see if this will play. Okay, so it's just, I'm going to quit that or all the cats in the neighborhood will be here. Okay, so anyway, you have a tab for sounds, a tab for costumes, a tab for code on this. You saw one of the little games play. By the way, MIT signs away its rights to everything to you. Anything you create with MIT is yours. Okay, everybody got that? So if you actually come up with something you like and you can you wish to port it someplace else, sell it, do whatever, they're all for it. Okay, you owe them nothing. So that's one reason I like the MIT stuff is, they're not trying to take anything away from you. Okay, so anyway, that's part of what this screen looks like. What I would suggest you do in the meantime is go into this, get some ideas of what you can do. And all of these are supposed to be tutorials. Let's see. Here's a nice looking one. Create a story, I hope. Okay. And it's going to lead you through this.
You can use Scratch to tell a story, create a conversation, switch scenes, or do whatever else you can imagine. To get started, let's pick a background. I'll go with the witch house. Now let's pick a sprite. I'll pick the wizard. Let's have our character say something. I'll have my character say, "Welcome to Magic School." I'd like to add another character, so I'll choose another sprite. This time, I'll pick the elf. It looks like the elf isn't facing the wizard, so I'll change the way they're looking. Let's go to the costume tab and choose flip horizontal, so the costume is now.
Okay, and I won't spend all of our time going through all of that, but the tutorials are good, all right? They show you how they do every step they do all the way through. The only thing you have to do is for whatever game you come up with, find a tutorial that is similar to what you are trying to do, and you can get most of your help from there. All right. Let's see. So that was a quick version of what we're trying to get into. Now, Game Engine Basics, I want to look at this until my internet connection dies. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You have links to this, but I do want to point out some stuff to you. What are they? For people that are starting out in games, they've heard of game engines, but they really don't know what they do. The best description I have seen is a game engine to a game is like Word to a letter that you send out, a document that you create. A game engine creates a game like Word creates a document, okay? But, well, I don't know if you tried to go through all the options in Word. You haven't, I guarantee, okay? So anyway, this is game engines, and there's a little definition here, and this is what a game engine should be able to do for you. Let's see, and then it goes through, and we'll give some examples in here. There was one thing in here. Here we go. Why use a game engine? Well, if you don't use a game engine, you better be pretty good at coding, okay? Because it's going to take a lot of work. Doesn't mean you can't. That happens all the time, but game engines do make your life easier. So you can focus on what you want the game to do rather than how to make it do it. You don't have to learn to build everything from the ground up. Just like you'll use a drawing tool of some kind to do a picture with, you don't start with just pixelapp.com and do one pixel at a time. Okay, you get something a little more advanced. They can provide a plugin API. Let's go ahead and talk about that. It's a coding term, but it is something that your game engines will normally use. And API is something that lets you be able to write in, say, Java or C# or C++ and get that code to where it will work and affect your game. So if you are a coder and there's little ooches you want to do that aren't part of the game engine, if it has an API available, then you can code, go through the API, and the API hands it back into the game to affect the game. API is Application Programmer Interface. This application's interface with the programmer, and it gives the coder exactly what commands they can use and what format everything has to be in. And if you know how to code, that is a very nice thing, okay? Let's see. Here's some cons, and that's something to keep up with. You can't make your game character do anything the engine doesn't know how to do unless you know how to code. So if you're relying on the game engine to do all of that for you, then you are limited by what the game engine knows how to do. You have to adapt to the workflow of the game engine, such as working with Unity. You have to know that you've got to go get all of your sound files first and add them into Unity before you can get Unity to be able to do anything with them. Same thing with your game characters. The advanced game programming class right now is pulling in 3D models that are animated, and we're pulling them in and making them move and do all that kind of stuff. Well, the models were developed, most of the stuff I'm pulling in is free, and it's from Blender. And so you can use Blender to create, to rig the model, and to give movements to the model. And then that's handed into Unity. And now in Unity, you have to know how to make the model understand now is the time for you to walk, now's the time for you to jump in surprise, whatever it is. Okay, well, however Unity wants me to do it, that's the way I'm going to have to do it. No options there. And there's quirks and weaknesses. Like if you're not careful with Unity and not watch out what you're doing, when Unity gets busy and you keep telling it to do more and more, it finally just quits and goes away. So you have to have patience with Unity unless you're on some kick-ass machine, okay? Just the regular stuff we buy down at, well, not Walmart. Give me a level up. Where's a better place to go get hardware?
Best Buy.
Okay, where else?
Micro Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of changed with COVID-19. My wife and I were out one of our few outings, and we drove by one of the stores, can't even think of the name of it now, and we were going to get out and just go in and walk a little bit and look around. It didn't seem to be very crowded, so we felt like it'd be safe. Well, the reason it wasn't very crowded is no one was allowed inside. You had to go online, order, and then drive up to the front, and they would put it in your car for you. So things have changed a lot. Anyway, this, even in today's abilities and everything, if you really want to develop games and you want to do it quickly and not have to sit around and wait and wait and wait on stuff, then you're looking in the $7,000 to $15,000 range for the machine that can do that for you. Okay. Also, skills. What kind of skills do you have? Okay, and then it goes through and says, okay, here's what the game engines are supposed to be doing for you. And this is a Unity screen that you're seeing here. And all of the little screens that goes with this, every one of these is changes. The nice thing is you can also rearrange them to your own likeness, not likeness, but however you would like it, which means when you go find training videos, you have to figure out where they put what before you can even understand what they're doing. And right now, Andrew is having to explain his look to somebody. If you can see his video, it's hysterical. Okay, anyway, this is why for beginners, no, don't start with this. Let's start with something simpler, get a feel for a game engine, and then work our way up a little bit. Okay, can you make your own dream game now? I'll tell you right up front, no. You've got a lot of stuff to learn before you can do that, okay? And this one is Godot, and I believe that's a other MIT product. I've got to go look. I know MIT did one that's out there, but I don't remember which one. Okay, so that's what's a game engine, and choosing the right game engine also goes along with this, and I'll let y'all work your way through this. I've already had my say on it. Just find all the advice you can find, and then pick a game engine based on what you have found. Just be prepared. Every game engine has a learning curve, okay? The more advanced the game engine, the bigger the learning curve. Okay, so that's just something to be careful of. And it's one of the biggest things with Unity in class is just getting everybody over that learning, that hump, that after you make it over that, you finally know enough, you can actually start getting stuff done. Let's see, was there, yeah, watch out for this, especially if you buy proprietary, what kind of claims do they make on yours, on your game that you develop? And you really want to watch that closely. And it goes through here and gives you lots of things to look at and lots of things to think about. Do you want your game to look like this? Or do you want your game to look like this? You know, all of these have their different things that they can do and support. Here's one here. Okay, which of those is close to what you have in mind for your game? Maybe not any of them. And if you want it to do specific things, yeah, this is the kind of stuff you're going to be doing. I spent 2 or 3 hours on this the other night. I had one keystroke wrong trying to find it. Just part of it. And this is another look at how you organize. All of this should tell you there's going to be a learning curve, okay? So go through and that's a cute little video if you want to look at that. That's another possibility. Okay, but what I'm expecting you to use and you are required to use is this software, Scratch. Okay, now you're finishing up your hybrid game and that is due before class next week. Okay, let me stop the share.
How long do we have on our Scratch one?
3 weeks, including this week 4.
And then we have a project later where we can use any game engine.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, that'll be the last one. And that's where I can turn you loose. Well, I've covered the material you need to know. One thing, let me tell you, when we assign Scratch, this goes differently. Okay. From the very first video y'all watched in here to now, I'm still telling you the same thing. This class is about what you have to do, what are the steps, and what is the order of the steps to get from game idea to production, okay, that it's out there. And so when we hit Scratch, we're going to look at another thing that's a reality in the gaming world. And that is you don't just start off and say, okay, artists, y'all go do your thing, coders, you do your thing, sound, go make some sound. No. It has to be somewhat of a coordinated effort. Now, if you're working on your own, you are the coordinator of everything. But if you're working with the team, that's when you have to be a little bit more careful, again, if you're trying to get the game out the door. Okay, so we start that with Scratch. Now, the reason I'm doing it with Scratch, after you get into it, it'll be frustrating at first. You'll have to go hunt videos to find what you want to do, but you'll get through it and you'll get your stuff going that you're trying to do. All right. What I'm going to do is say at the end of week 1, here's what is due from the music people, the coders, the artists, the marketing people. I've got a list. There's 5 of them. Can't remember what the 5th one is right now. Anyway, each of those roles is actually the correct term for this. This is a business. This is management is what this is, okay? There are roles that must be played. There is an artist role, there is a music role, there is a marketing role. All 5 of those roles have to be played. Now, one person can play more than one role, and a role can be played by more than one person. Such as, okay, artist, this is what I need at the end of the first week. I need some kind of background for this game. This is the feel of the game. This is what it's supposed to do. Now take that idea and go create for me a general background that meets what I'm talking about. Music. I need some background music to be going on, to be played while this is going on. And I spent this weekend having a lot of fun with that. I took a scene that's in the game that I'm working on and just started playing different tracks behind it. And one track made it look like a horror scene. Another track made it look like a pleasant walk through the park. Okay. So at the end of the week, all the roles come back together and say, this is what I did. Fine. Artist, no, you missed the idea. I mean, beautiful artwork that you've got there, but it's not what I'm looking for. You need to change this, this, and this. Okay, person that's creating the characters that's going to be in the game. No, I don't want them looking that goofy. They need to have somewhat of a more serious look to them. Go back and redo that character. Okay, so this is not a start at the beginning and make it to the end. This is a looping process. So you do a small amount of the front end, get everybody used to what you're looking for. Everybody goes back and redoes what they need to redo, and on the second round, add something else to it as well. Then get all that right, go into another round, add something else to it as well. Okay, and so there is a piece of software and a website that I'll send everybody to that says, if you're the artist week one, here's what you must accomplish. If you're the musician week one, here's Foley. That was the other one I was thinking of. Here's what you must accomplish. Foley, here's what we need from you going on. Y'all getting a feel for this? Okay, so I've had you develop 3 games by now, so you've got an idea. And on this game, Scratch, spend this week getting used to the tool. Watch some of the videos on it. Come up with a simple idea like the character runs across the room and runs into a wall. How do you do that in Scratch? Then go see if you can figure out how to do that. Just kind of get familiar with it, okay? No assignment per se, just whatever you need to do on your own to where when we start next week, you'll be ready to start doing stuff with Scratch. We good? Okay, so what's due this week? The tabletop hybrid game, and start becoming familiar with Scratch. Okay? Any questions?
How are teams going to be decided?
I'm leaving that up to y'all, and this is the first time I've done this. In the past, I would just go through and assign people, but I'm still getting used to this new format that we're in. You know, I've got 40 years in with everybody in a classroom. I know how to do that, and I know what works. I'm still trying to figure out what works on this format. So I'm doing 1 semester here to give it a try. Let's see, I saw a chat come by just a second ago. Oh, by the way, that's something I thought. Oh, I'll save that for after the video, after I quit recording, okay? Any other questions before I stop recording? Okay, I'm gonna stop this one. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just, I get the idea what we're kind of decide group, but the thing is how, would we email each other on the website?
Well, one thing that can happen is here in Zoom, you can send private messages back and forth to each other, okay? And
how big should the group sizes be?
Say it again, Brittany, what'd you say?
How big should the group sizes be on average for each team? Should it be 4 people or
Oh, during a normal semester, you do the first one we did. What was the first one we did? A dice game or card game?
Card game.
Card game. Okay, I did teams of 2. For the next one, I did teams of 3 for the dice game or whatever it was. For the hybrid, I did teams of 4. So every game, new teams. Okay. Then starting with Scratch, I do teams of 5 and stay with teams of 5. 5 is about as small a group as you're going to have if a group of people is trying to produce one of these games.
Okay.
Okay. No, good questions. Keep asking.
Okay, so and if we don't have Zoom, do we just go on we send private messages on on school?
Yes, you can email each other if you would like to. That's fine.
Yeah, on the college website, I guess.
Yeah. You should be able to, I believe you can see the class list and you can send emails to individuals.
If you send an email through that class list, it'll show up in D2L, which is kind of weird. So just make sure to check that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
also Discord's free, and that's pretty awesome for making
Oh, yeah,
small
I have
communities. You can
I have
just make a
Discord.
server and invite people.
It is.
Yeah. And in my prior 2 classes, I required the use of Discord amongst the group. Okay. But, well, for one thing, we did it off of my server. And that way I could keep up with all of the comments that people were making in the groups. And if I saw somebody that was heading wrong or a question popped up, then I would be there, because it's on my cell phone. It would ding every time something got posted, and I go check, does anybody need any help? And if they did, then I could give them an answer to a question right then. Okay, but again, new format. And so I'm trying to still figure out what's going to be good, what's not. So yes, if you have Discord and that's how you want to communicate, go for it. The only thing is I will not know your questions because it's not running off my server, okay? And as a result, if you have questions, you're going to have to just email me. Okay, y'all good?
Okay.
All right, then let me stop the recording. And recording is stopped.